Hello, hello. Welcome to today's episode. This is officially episode 12 of the Patriot
Wow.
Princess podcast. Uh-oh. It said something went wrong, but it says we're live. I'm going to trust the one that says it's recording.
I see the meter running.
Yeah. Okay.
45 seconds in.
Oh, okay. Well, again, welcome. If it cuts out, then we know this conversation was meant to be had more than once. Metatron's messing with our electronics.
Yep.
I would like to welcome everyone today. This is my beautiful friend Amanda Smith. She is a holistic soil scientist, energy healer, and all-around glorious human being. She is also an incredibly talented artist, and don't let her tell you otherwise, because I've seen what she makes, and it's beautiful. She is a integral member of the Soul Purpose Tribe, created by Neil Maxwell, who has brought this just amazing group of individuals together, and that's how we met. People who are interested in taking their talents, working together for building a new earth and showing others how to thrive in it. And that is where this conversation for us kind of started today. And if you've listened to any of my other episodes, you know that food is at the soul of my joy in this life. It is part of the cross I am carrying of teaching families and our children, where healthy things come from that we're putting in our body. And, you have the realization that it all comes from the soil. And if the soil isn't good, what's growing out of it isn't good either. And this is where we also, for me, get into that metaphor of as within, so without. When we're looking at our food sources, we're looking at Mother Earth, we look within too, and where our family soil is. Because if the soil of the family is not healthy, what's growing out of it is not healthy either. And, it's funny, that's the download I got from Source the other day. I've gotten it a couple of times, but keeps reminding me, going, the way out is through the kitchen. There's one window in the house and it's in the kitchen. And it's like, this is where it all starts, and what comes into the kitchen is coming from the soil outside. So I am going to actually turn it over to Amanda a little bit here. This is an interview I went into without a very specific script, because Amanda loves soil science so much that I'm just going to let her tell us about it a little bit, and I know it's going to ping me to kind of take us in some direction. So tell us a little bit about your background in soil science, what got you there, and why you love it so much.
Well, it started wanting to be an environmentalist, which I had no idea what that meant. And I had babies at a really young age, and then wanted to go back to school. And I just thought, I want to study environmentalism. And I managed to do that at UC Riverside. It's California University at Riverside. I went for environmental science, and during the core curriculum, you have to take various types of environmental sciences. There was air chemistry, and then there was the intro to soils, and there was some mineralogy. And I got into the soils class and just fell in love with the dynamics. And I was in other classes too, chemistry and biology, that just went down this whole wormhole of everything that you can't see unless you put it under a microscope. And that just sucked me in. And I was discovering new magic every week. And
I love that you call it magic.
It is. And in fact, I've always said science is magic that is real. And I found a sweatshirt that said that on it. And of course I bought it. I still have it. It's starting to wear holes in it. That's how much I love it. And the soil just kind of drew me in. And chemistry was really my first love when I went to school. So I decided to do a master's in soil chemistry, and I loved it. After graduating, I went on into things that weren't quite so fulfilling, and needed to do something else. So I went into massage therapy and energy, and found even more magic, and the realm of possibility of what could be and what we could actually manifest became clearer to me when I started doing energy work and receiving energy work, and finding people that were so affected by energy that there was nothing else that you could say that could convince me that it was coming from somewhere else. So I was watching and listening to them know things about me that I hadn't talked about, and or the things that I could feel in my body that I hadn't talked about. So I went through all of that, and I went back to science because I got tired of being poor, being a massage therapist, and I got to combine the two things. But somewhere along the way, I discovered permaculture, and I didn't know what it was. I was just drawn to it. So I took a permaculture class.
I'm writing this down right now. I'm don't want to interrupt your flow. So, I'm writing this down so we can come back to it.
So I took the permaculture class and discovered ways that you work with it's not just the soil, even though I like to say everything comes from the ground, and you always build an ecosystem from the ground up. Permaculture brings in all of the pieces, the plants and the animals and the people. So that is one of the things that's missing in our community, in our society, is the notion that people are part of nature and part of the ecosystem, and they should be active stewards and actually give and receive from the earth. We live apart from it. We're not connected to it. We don't listen to it. We don't watch what it does. And in permaculture, you do that. And I loved it so much, I took another permaculture design course. I took that in my local neighborhood just so I could get connected to my community. And after that, I ended up taking another. I've taken 3 of them because I couldn't stop. But for my local permaculture,
sounds like a calling.
A little obsessive. For my local permaculture society, they wanted somebody to teach the soil science, and the leader asked me, "Do you think you could teach soil food web?" And I was like, "Sure, I can teach that. No problem. I can teach soil food web." And I sat down and I started looking it up, going, "What's soil food web?" And and I discovered a class for it, a 5-day class taught by the amazing Elaine Ingham. I cannot begin to shout out Elaine enough. If you're interested and you want to learn really deeply, check out her courses. But I went to one in person, and it was 5 days, and my mind was blown about how much I didn't know after getting a master's degree in soil science. And the soil food web is basically all the things that live in the ground and how they interact with each other. The bacteria, the protozoa, the nematodes, the fungi, and the plant roots and the plants themselves, which then extend to the insectaries, the pollinators, the songbirds, the burrowing animals, the microarthropods. The interface of the soil and the plant world is such an amazing place, and it knows what it's doing. That's the amazing piece to me, and the biggest life-changing message that I have received from nature and looking at that is that nature knows how to do this, and it should be easy and clean. And when she does it, it is. So all of these things.
Nature is also sentient. Mother Earth is a sentient being, and
she knows what she's doing. The way we
look at her like a dead rock.
The way we clean water doesn't clean water. it's like beating a dead horse. You take dead water and make it deader, and then you give it back to humanity and say,
And
drink
wonder
this.
why they're dead inside.
Exactly.
Right? I want to ask you this before I forget. So when you brought up how much you didn't know after getting a master's in soil science by doing like this independent course, this is where I get conspiracy theory. Do you feel like that's because the education system intentionally left things out so that the entire picture isn't being put together, that you're only moving forward with
Some of it, some of
that?
it. So when I was doing my schooling, Elaine was working on her PhD about 10 years earlier. So it had been 10 years and it just hadn't quite made it into things. But the biggest thing, if we want to talk conspiracy theories, is um, producers of glyphosate are big monetary contributors to agricultural research in universities. And the thing is, you don't need to use that if you allow the soil food web to flourish and if you
Okay, so
allow diversity to flourish.
what for the average person who does not know what that is, what is glyphosate?
Glyphosate is the active
Glyphosate, thank you.
it's the active ingredient in Roundup. So it's a product that initially was marketed as an antibacterial, and it's water soluble, so it moves pretty quickly through the ground and into our bodies. And it was discovered that it would control broadleaf plants, which are generally what we call weeds. Weeds. I refer to weeds as first responders because they are the first thing that grows when the ground is waking up.
I
So you
love
need them,
that.
and you need them, and you can evolve it into something else. And there's a hierarchy to soil food web. So bacteria grow back first, which weeds love those weeds in air quotes. Um, they're
Somebody
first.
told me the other day that weeds are flowers just growing in the wrong place.
It's just something that you don't want there, and so we call it a weed because it's not something we want there. But they are first responders, and the thing that wants it there is the ground. The ground wants it there because that's what can grow, because the bacteria come back first. They're the fastest. And once the bacteria start to grow, the fungal network can come back and the protozoa start to thrive, and the nematodes come in, and then the other insects, the above ground insects and the burrowing things start to come in. And that whole web creates pore space in the ground. It makes it fluffy, so there's room for air and water. And what the glyphosate does is it kills everything back to the first point of succession, which is bacteria, which means all you're going to have growing is weeds, because that's what bacteria support. So when you use the glyphosate, you're just always slamming the ground back to the first point of succession. And you can't get a healthy plant because the life in the ground that it needs, which that is a long conversation about. If you want to understand that, we should probably address specific time for it, where I can go through and it really explain it. But it basically goes bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and then the microarthropods are the things that eat up all the leaf litter and chew it up and turn it into compost, and the nematodes. And when you don't have all of those things in cooperation with each other, you don't create the nutrient flow to the plant. So it's that soil food web, that life, that allows the nitrogen and minerals to flow to the plant. And the plant is in charge. It takes in sunlight, it makes sugars, and then it lets them ooze out their roots, and it feeds the life in the ground. And in return, the life in the ground says, thank you, here's some boron. Thank you, here's some nitrogen. And we all get to thrive. And then the plant gets fed. and you outcompete the weeds. When you change the environment in the ground, then the weeds don't have the kind of environment that they need to grow. So back to conspiracy theories, they don't want us to know that, because we could be farming in a way that's healthy for our bodies and healthy for the ground, and life gets to flourish.
What a powerful conversation. And I want to apologize to any listeners for background noise. I'm usually in a quiet location, but before I met with Amanda, I had an amazing conversation with another amazing soul who is in Kenya right now doing incredible work, and we're talking about soil and food, and all of these things are linking together. And I will tell you, as souls that have come through for me, because we all have the psychic ability, we all have the telepathic ability once we can once we tap into the one. Not everybody is necessarily a psychic medium in that power, but I do have very specific souls that have come back to me through my awakening. And when you said glyphosate is the main ingredient in Roundup, there are two women in particular. I keep doing this because they're over my shoulders going, this is what we wanted you to talk about. I have a friend that passed away at 19 from 3 very rare forms of cancer, and she kept coming to me saying, oof, it was the chemicals in the groundwater. Mm-hmm. And where she lived, her mother ended up with cancer. Their dog ended up with these, like, just tumors, brain tumors, spinal tumors. Like, it is. And she kept showing me Erin Brockovich. Mm-hmm. And there was actually a case when I was in college that I didn't realize. She was sending me all of this at the same time because she had just passed away in one of my legal classes, where there's a book about it. I think they made a movie about it. There's my meditation timer. About a town where literally all of the residents, a lot of the residents were getting poisoned. They were having all kinds of birth defects. They were having kids getting all these wild cancers, and they ended up being able to track it back to a tannery, a local tannery that was dumping stuff in the groundwater, and it was poisoning the wells. It was poisoning the entire population. And this is where, in the beginning, when I said what's going on in the soil, and when you talk about this, and I'm envisioning, the weeds as the first responders, and when you're pumping the chemicals into the soil, you're slamming it back to the first succession, and you can't get a healthy plant. And yeah. To me, when I see how that translates into the human aspect of it, and going into this, like, the soil of your family, and the family honor aspect, we get a lot of, you're encouraged to follow in your family's footsteps, or to be silent to keep your family proud, to keep your family honor, or don't go explore your dreams, you need to step into XYZ because that's what the family does. And you can't get a healthy plant when the soil is full of toxins, and your family should be fluffy and full of air and water and light. And if you're in a family environment that makes you feel dense and heavy, like, it's not healthy soil. And
you know what happens if you can't get a healthy plant? The person who eats it can't have a healthy body. So we're missing minerals that we're supposed to have, vitamins we're supposed to have, amino acids we're supposed to have. And what is it they pound into our brains in junior high science? Amino acids are the building blocks of life. Well, yep. We don't have all of them anymore. And the other thing too is the glyphosate, it interferes with the ATP process in the body. So I don't know a whole lot about it. I don't remember a lot about it, but what it is, it's that process that we create any energy with, and in our mitochondria, it interferes with that chain of the drop down of the electrons into the cycle that helps us make energy, and we end up with excess. Not all of it gets used. And the other thing is too, if it's an antibacterial, it kills all of our gut biome.
The healthy gut biome.
Yeah, all of it. Even if you had unhealthy gut biome, that would be dead too. And it basically, creates leaky gut syndrome, which allows in various undigested particles, creating autoimmune disease and pollution in the body
Mm-hmm.
in weird organs where it's not supposed to be.
And then we look at the gut brain connection,
Hmm.
where your gut is actually your first brain, and when your gut is unhealthy, you can't trust it anymore, so you start
Right.
not trusting your own intuition, and then your actual psychological function isn't operating properly either. And
Hmm.
then we end up in these societies like we're looking at today, where everybody's looking to someone else to tell them what to do, to tell them how to operate, to tell them what is safe, because they literally can't trust their own instincts anymore, because they've been killed by parasites and
Hmm.
unhealthy, like, by everything that we're consuming.
Yeah.
Golly,
Yeah.
golly. This is all the stuff I've been talking to myself about for a year, and now it's so nice to have other people to
Well, I've
talk
been
to
telling
about it.
myself I was going to write a little pamphlet about how glyphosate affects, our energy cycle and what it does in animals too, because it affects animals that undergo a metamorphosis. So things like butterflies and salamanders, things that need to, tadpoles and frogs,
Hmm.
things like that are unable to complete their metamorphosis, and therefore you're affecting the ecosystem on that level. And there's a whole process for what it does, and it's not always the glyphosate. It's the they have other chemicals inside it that are designed to help keep the glyphosate stable, help keep it around longer, because it will break down and wash away, and they want it to be available to kill the broadleaf plants for as long as possible. So some of these other things that they put in the pesticide also are toxic.
And it's like, let's put some more toxic stuff in here to keep the original main toxic ingredient intact. And I just had a conversation with somebody the other day where I was talking about um, doctors and the symptom treatment that happens as
Yeah.
opposed to the root cause. And now it's like, okay, well, you go in and you've got all these symptoms and you're on these specific medications, so we're going to give you another medication to treat the new symptom that's coming up, instead of looking at the original medication to see how it's affecting you. You get stuff that you ends up being like interacting negatively with one another. But it's like, okay, you're on an antidepressant and it's not working anymore, so now you need another medication to make your antidepressant work better. And it's like, people, let's wake up to big pharma and realize that it's all just a band-aid, and none of that's helping you, and it's not working anymore because you're not actually addressing the root cause of whatever the
Right.
symptom is that the medication is treating.
You're
So we
not
think we're
looking at
using,
what's missing that your body needs in order to actually take
yep.
care of its proper functions.
And the glyphosate we think we're all using to, kill the weeds because they're not pretty in our yard, are killing
Some
the
people do that.
dandelions that bees, that are the first food for bees every season. And
Yep.
then we're killing the bees when they're actually feeding off the dandelions that are covered in poison. And like, when the bees are gone, we're all screwed.
We've got
Like,
problems. Yeah.
and when the birds and the bees are gone, we got major problems, because we're not
Yeah.
spreading our seeds anymore with bird droppings. We're not getting, like, and that ties back into the family structure as well. What's happening with the birds and the bees? Because when we're having unhealthy, intimate interactions, and that energy is getting stored in our body, it's affecting our offspring and the way that our
Yeah.
offspring are developing too.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
it goes all the way to the top, and it's all a giant interconnected web, people.
It is.
Like, it
It
really is.
is. It really is. And if you would just let nature do things the way she does them, then we would be okay. But what it has done, it has caused people to look at what's wrong and learn how things work and find real answers for what we can do. So, like for me, for instance, I've been taking a lot of vitamin D, and being a massage therapist, I had developed all of this pain in my joints, over the years, the ones that I used the most to apply pressure, I was getting arthritis. You can still see that I have one like pretty fat spot right here. But for 2 months, I have been supplementing with B vitamins and vitamin D, vitamin K, CoQ10, and my hands are almost back to normal. Like I don't have pain in my joints anymore. I notice it now mostly just when it's really cold outside. So that's
Yes.
just from accumulation of calcium, and also arthritis is in your fingers is parasites.
I need to up my parasite detox because I've had some finger issues, and that also makes sense of why my ex-husband had incredible arthritis in his hands.
Mm.
Constant arthritis at young.
Yeah.
And I kept telling him that gut biome was off. No one wanted to listen to me. Even the nurses in the hospital one time said, "Your wife sounds like she's really smart and you should listen to her." He didn't, and that's okay. That's why I'm divorced. It
Yeah,
wasn't meant to be.
not meant to be.
Um, I learned something interesting too that I kind of knew but never really put together as well. And when you're working in that healer capacity, I started apologizing earlier for the background noise because I didn't get to leave this cafe, but I keep flipping this up because it turns my speaker off so that we can hear you better when I'm not
Okay.
speaking. Um, I was talking to a girl that does an esthetician that does facials, and
Mhm.
she actually went to like a more holistic training, and they taught them that a lot of what you're doing when you're giving a facial is related to Reiki energy, that your specific hand movements and the flow of your patterns, and they were actually teaching them how to protect their own energy from unknowingly absorbing things from the people that they're working on. And that made something like so significantly click for me because for so many years as a personal trainer, um, and I worked a lot with aging populations and people in chronic pain. So I did a lot of fascial work, I did a lot of stretching stuff, and I did a lot of hands-on assisted work where I was doing it for them. But I never realized the exhaustion that I felt and my own physical stuff that was popping up for me was so significantly related to not only doing more for others than I was doing for myself, but also from the energy that I was absorbing from them, because you're
Right.
helping people release stuff. And I actually even thought in the gym today when I was there, I was like, we have all this stuff to clean the equipment, but what we don't look at from a holistic perspective in gyms and spas and places like that, people are there releasing energy. Like
Mhm.
you're actually going through a massive energy release when you're exercising and going through that stuff. And there are no other ways to cleanse the energy in that building, because you're in places where people aren't looking at it as, oh, we're releasing energy here. Like, yeah, you feel good when you're leaving, but what did you leave behind?
Right.
Right? For the next person to like
Right.
walk into. And it's like relationships. Oh,
Yeah.
like again, it all links together. Like you meet somebody who makes you feel really good because I you can probably relate, being in chronic narcissistic relationships. It's like when I got out of a relationship, whoever I was breaking up with ended up like taking off and kind of doing their own thing, and I was like left in this like messy puddle of ugh,
Yeah.
and realizing, oh, it's because they've literally been stealing your frequency and sucking. It's energy vampires. They've been
That's how
sucking
yeah,
the energy out of you the
that's
entire
how they
time.
feed themselves. They don't know how to do it without
Yep.
an empath around.
Yep. And it's like you
Yeah.
leave feeling great, and I'm left here. Like, what did you leave behind with me? You left all of your crap, your trash with me to clean up after.
Yeah.
And now I'm the one that's emptying all the trash out while you move on to the next person that you're going to suck energy off of. Which also, this is where we turn this back into a soil conversation as well. But like, how do we develop accountability for people that are doing this? It's like we need one of those like dating websites where you can report who you dated and the energy that they sucked off of you, so that the next victim at least has the information before they decide to get into a relationship with them or not, right?
I
Like,
dated a narcissist.com.
I'm writing this down. Nobody steal this, and when Amanda and I make $1 million off of this. I have literally been toying around with that idea because I've talked to so many women that are like, oh, my ex was a narcissist. And I actually had this conversation with a woman recently when I went snowboarding. I met her and her husband in a bar, and they were telling me their stories, very much a like kindred spirit, twin flame relationship where they've been through a lot and came together. And she was telling me about the myriad of women that her ex has married after or dated after, and she's watched them go through what she went through, and now she ends up having these great relationships with them because she's helped with their kids and all this stuff. And it's like, well, his other wife, you know, I ended up having to raise her kid for 10 years because she went off and had to go through all this healing. And it's like, not that you're here to save anybody, but if you know what kind of person he is and how he's going to behave, you're just sitting there watching him treat all these other women in the same pattern that he treated you, and you're not saying anything, you're not doing anything, you're taking their kids so that they can go off and heal and rebuild for 10 years. But how about we like warn people before they get into it of, this was my experience, and here you have the education, now you do with it what you will. If you choose to get into a relationship with them, that's on you. And it goes back to the soil. What's the soil of the relationship? And with our farmers and our, you know, the companies that are producing big stuff, like if we know what's in their soil and what's going into the food, McDonald's, for example, for entertainment purposes only, so I don't get sued for sued
Same
for
for Monsanto, right? Entertainment purposes only.
If we know the crap that's in their food and we know the crap that's in their soil, I read something, I don't know how accurate this still is, but about their potatoes. That they had developed a very specific type of like Idaho potato, that they were modifying it to grow bigger so that they could get these long, beautiful French fries that everybody likes coming out of the box. And that in order to get them to grow so big, they were spraying them with a specific pesticide that was killing everything around it, that they actually had to start doming in their potato crops because of what it was doing to everything around them. And everybody's like, yeah, but I still love them. And it's like, okay, then then you can keep eating the McDonald's if you want. But when we start educating people about what's in the soil and what's in their food, like,
I can add something to that, because I lived in Idaho for a while, and I worked for the University of Idaho, and we grew potatoes. And the same story was, the reason why you don't get these large potatoes in the grocery store is because they all get sold to the fast food places. So potatoes actually do grow that big. However, they are still sprayed, and they were being sprayed with Roundup because we had a real problem with the Colorado potato beetle. And that Colorado potato beetle just really eats the plant until there's nothing left. And they had not just Roundup, they had something else that they were spraying on it, which I don't know what it was called, but it was an experimental, you know, I was working for the university. Again, this is where the money comes from. They were spraying something that was incorporated into the plant, so that when the Colorado beetle ate the plant, it chewed up their whole insides. It just turned them into soup on the inside. And we would go through the rows that had been sprayed and hadn't been sprayed and counted dead beetles. So, you know, I don't know if that, like, different chemicals like to live in different parts of the plant. There's a lot that I don't know. I can only tell you what I do know. And I don't want to, you know, try to fill in the blanks anywhere. I don't know how much of that was being stored in the potato itself. And so I don't know if we might have actually ingested some of that. But it was a genetically modified plant designed to kill a Colorado beetle.
And this is where, like, I get into if we're genetically modifying anything, we are taking it away from its originally source intended existence. And why are we modifying it? For profit, for beauty, because the fries look nicer in the box when they're bigger. Like,
Yeah. We used to take some of those potatoes home. It's like we're never going to find potatoes like these in the store. We would like everybody would get an
yeah.
80 bag because there were so many. It's not
Yeah.
like I mean, we were just collecting data. It didn't really matter what happened to all those potatoes.
And
Um,
then that's going into your bodies too, but
yeah,
you're in that
yeah,
you're in that mode. There's sirens going off in the background right now.
yeah. They're not super loud for me on my end.
No, but Source always send me sirens when they're going,
Oh, okay. An
this is
affirmation
something
from
you
the
should be
universe.
paying attention to.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get lots of
yeah,
sirens, bells ringing, and horns honking when Source is going, follow that lead.
yeah.
And this is where we get to when companies know what they're producing, when they know what they're doing, and then they still push it
And
to
if
the
you want to go
masses.
back to the reality of things is if you let nature grow her ecosystem, her soil food web, those things will take care of everything. Because what happens when all of the bugs come in, the songbirds come back and they start eating the bugs. So things that are a pest will get eaten. Things are under control. If you have a predominance of one type of insect, it just creates the environment for a pest to take over. If you have an ecosystem of insects, it creates balance. And then it brings in songbirds. And the songbirds then bring in the little hawks. And the little hawks, make it possible for other pinnacle species. Then you have owls. And, the coyotes come in and will eat all the gophers. And they just don't eat the ones that are going to eat your plant first. You got
And
to
I
have
love that,
dogs.
right? I love everything you just said because Spirit's been sending me birds, hawks, and owls lately, and everything that you just
Yeah.
went up.
And there are some pinnacle species that we don't have anymore. So the thing that would control the coyotes, like having some bears or big cats, that's not there. But some places have those things.
Well, and that takes me back to a point where it's like we're not meant to have the same environment and agriculture everywhere. Otherwise, Mother Earth would be the same everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
we're meant to have differing environments that produce different things that are either beneficial to the indigenous people to that environment, or can be used as trade of like, hey, we have this here and you don't have it there, so let's trade
Right.
and that's how we create unity through diversity as well. And I do want to go back to what you mentioned about the glyphosate. So the company, I mean, main ingredient in Roundup, but you said the company that made, and correct me if I'm stating this improperly, that makes the glyphosate also invests heavily in agricultural
They do.
research,
Yes.
or
On the university level. Yeah.
interesting. And I will say I am looking down in this podcast more than I ever have in any podcast because I'm like feverishly taking notes about everything that you're saying because I find it incredibly fascinating. I normally am like eye to eye, but I'm like, I gotta write this down. I gotta write this down. Um, is there a particular area that you're aware of that they invest more in, or is it very
I
widely
think it's
spread?
pretty general. If you're a school with a major agriculture department, there's investment. I have never done a study, but I haven't come across somebody yet that said that we don't get any grant money from Monsanto or maybe other big places like Bayer, or which I believe doesn't Bayer own Monsanto now? You know, it, there's all
And
kinds of money like that in the university. Yeah.
it all goes back to follow the money, because guess what? The people that are making these chemicals and investing in the research are then also linked to the companies who are creating the cures and treatments for whatever ailments and diseases are being caused in humans as a result of these chemicals that are going into our soil. So not only are they making the poison, but then they're making the so-called medicine for it as well. And this is where it's like, follow the money, people, because the money will always tell you who is in the hierarchy here and what their main interest is. Because if their interest was human rights and safety for human beings, then they would say, guess what? Through our agricultural studies, we found that this chemical creates this litany of issues and disease in humans, and maybe we should stop making it. But instead, it's, we're going to keep making it because it keeps our golf courses pretty, or it, kills the pesticides. And I'm so glad that I said that, because it is something that I have literally been holding inside for so long that it's like, I have traveled to so many different places and have been in relationships with so many narcissists that were avid golfers. This is a disclaimer that I do not believe golf is only for narcissists, but tell me what stay-at-home mom is allowed to have an 8-hour hobby that takes you away for the entire day? And it's like, but I need it for my mental health. I used to get a hard time when I went for like a 2-hour or 3-hour mani-pedi day, and it's like, when are you coming back? And it's like, you know what? You were gone yesterday for 8 hours playing golf, so I don't really want to hear anything. But I see these areas where, like, the outskirt towns are falling apart, but they've got these beautiful, pristine greens and all these golf courses. And it's like, what are you doing to keep your grass look like that? What are you doing to keep the greens weed free and bug free, so that your high-end golfers aren't bothered by something that seems to be unsightly? But it's, like you said, the weeds are there when the soil's waking up. So you're killing your soil content. Your grass is green, but you're killing the soil content.
The greens on golf courses are basically kept in a state of near death all the time, because they mow them off so short. And the way a plant responds to that is it sends all of its energy from the roots up into the shoot to make it grow again. So it will take matter from the root and put it into the shoot, so that you get growth. It's like an emergency thing with them, and they're very fertilized to keep feeding them. So you have to feed them all the time, but then you cut them off all the time. So you end up with a lot of salts, nitrogen salts that get percolated into the soil around a golf green. I don't know. I can't speak for what the rest of the golf course, how it's treated, but that's what happens with a green. And I believe they don't do it that way in Scotland. They play golf in the tall grass.
I was going to say, of course not. Now I just want to hear Lee. I could listen to him talk.
I know, me too.
Scotland comes through for me a lot too, from past life stuff. But I can't explain to you why I'm smiling so big right now, but it's synchronistic with my twin flame. Everything is such a metaphor, and it is something that I have been holding inside for so long and not getting out, but seeing what's happening in this societal culture, especially with the imbalance in our family structure, and this, like, literally, like, the grass is always greener, but it's kept at near death all the time. And this culture of, dad's allowed to go have his hobby where he gets to go just disappear for the entire day or the entire weekend on these golf trips, and moms who aren't producing as much. Now, I will say in my personal experience, it was because a lot of the golf trips were related to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm networking, I'm making contacts, I'm going for this, I'm going for that, and it's like we're not providing the balance of self-care for women and men in our relationships. And I really am interested to know more about what the hell is in the groundwater around all these golf courses, and what's happening in the runoff around most of them, because at least the ones I've seen usually have some sort of water feature around them.
Yes. Yeah,
because it's pretty on the golf course, right? Interesting. And again, it kind of brings me back to that question of where's our like conscious level activity as humans on this planet, of people who know what Roundup is doing. There's mass lawsuits. There's mass, like, what's the word I'm looking for?
There are some class action lawsuits because it has been deemed a carcinogen, but I don't know why people don't stop using it.
But we're still using it. It's still allowed to be in production.
It's for sale down at the True Value in my town. And it's for sale at Lowe's. I don't know why. There's still a lot of humanity that hasn't caught on.
And this is my main question, where I know there's a lot of people that go, well, you create your reality, so by acknowledging that this world exists where this stuff is happening, you're still living in it. And part of me is going like, I know. And you know what? Part of my sole purpose is to be in it for a little bit, not to necessarily wake anybody up, but to spread information, to expose things for what they truly are, so that people have the information that they need in order to make informed decisions for themselves. And that has been, I just walked by this sign on the Harvard campus yesterday and took a picture of it, or the day before, that said, the questions we ask. And my question, because I started this little series that I need to pick back up on social media called Question Everything. Question everything.
Right?
Especially the stuff that they tell you not to question. That's literally, I have a Q on my finger. And my question is, why in society are we still allowed to not only produce this stuff that we know is literally causing cancers, is literally causing health concerns, is causing disease, is causing harm to humanity? We're producing it, we're selling it to people with like a little disclaimer on here of, it's like the side effects on all your medications, like this may cause diarrhea, this may cause blah, 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 suicide, even death. And it's like, please sign me up for that. And again, you're providing disclaimers and information for people to make their own decision, but shouldn't we, at a conscious level, as the people producing this stuff, it's being produced for cosmetic reasons. It's not being produced for anything valuable that it's providing to the land, the soil, or its people. So how in the world are we as people still okay with this stuff being made? This is going to take me down a massive rabbit hole, Amanda, because there's so much of like, I wish I could show you this page right now of notes that I took, like, I was probably 8 or 9 months ago, where I was literally just like thought dumping everything that I am like interested in, want to work on, that's like pouring out of me. And class action lawsuits I drew it on there with this big circle around it, and related to not just to things we're doing cosmetically, and not just the soil, but to our bodies as well. Because when you go back and look at especially women and the cancers that have been caused in women, predominantly reproductive organs and our female organs, as a result of the chemicals that are in the cosmetics that we're using, in
Yeah.
deodorants, in powders, in hairspray, in makeup, in the things that we put on ourselves because we think we need it to be more beautiful.
I don't use
And
any of that stuff anymore.
right, and we also have herbal things in nature
Hmm.
that will do the same for us, but they either become more expensive to produce, or this is the big one that's come through for me, which I would love your input, your perspective on this too, related to like the bacteria and stuff, is that ooh, it's 333 on my clock right now. Um, that it has to be made in smaller batches because it's organic, because it breaks down faster, and so much of the stuff that we have has been modified to increase the shelf life because they want to be able to put it on stores
Right,
and,
or ship
and
it.
create it in
Yeah,
mass production and
they want
ship
it to
it.
last a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I could, I could go down that rabbit hole with you, and this is the particular rabbit hole I would go down, and that is that um, if we're going to talk about them, they, they don't want us, they don't want us to live in community, and it's
Bingo.
it's smaller holistic communities that are capable of taking care of themselves. So the more separation that we have, the further something has to travel, the less somebody knows about how to make something and make it available to whoever is in their radius, then the more separation we have, the less power we have as a group of people with one voice. And I think that is why so many of us in Soul Purpose Tribe are looking for community, because we don't want to live that way anymore. We want empowerment, and we can live sort of parallel to this matrix that has everything so controlled, where we don't supply our own selves with our needs, and we rely on some other system that that is far-reaching to supply us. And that system, if something goes wrong with it, then nobody knows how to do anything, and nobody knows where to get anything, and then chaos ensues, and um, just relying on that system and making sure that it doesn't break down. That's where our energy goes, into the system, because that's where everything comes from. It's so, but that's an illusion, because actually everything comes from the ground. Everything. And there's ground underneath us everywhere we go.
I want more farmers markets instead of new construction for big box
Hmm.
bulk stores. Like, I will tell you what, when I was a stay-at-home mom and I only got to go to the grocery store once every like 3 weeks because I didn't have time, because it was actually like I used to love going to Costco, and half the time I would go for the samples more than anything else. But we were in a house with two little kids, my disabled mom, and me and my husband, and the amount of money that I would spend on bulk groceries and stuff that I was stocking up for like a month, the amount of excess that we had in one home for us, the amount of stuff we threw away because I didn't make it fast enough, like, it's mind-boggling to me now to go back and look. And I did, for me personally, a lot of that came from growing up in a poverty mentality and like a lack mentality, where my ancestors and my grandparents, they grew up during war times, they grew up during the Depression, they grew up during times. My grandfather used to tell this story where he said, now granted on my mom's side, but actually both sides, my families were country people. My dad's side of the family was predominantly from Virginia, Eastern European, but in mostly Virginia. And my mom's family was North Carolina, and they were farmers. They had farms. But my grandfather used to joke around, he was one of 12, and he said we were so poor that when we got meat or like bacon, we would tie a piece of string to it, you know, fat back, and we'd let one kid chew on it for a little while, and we tied it to a string in case they accidentally swallowed it, and then we could pull it out and give it to the next kid for a little while.
Wow.
And like, I don't know how accurate that really was, but that was the mentality of like, we had nothing to the point of where we had to literally like share the same piece of food to keep us sustained. So then I could see in, you know, my mom and her siblings, that next generation that came up, that it was like having the excess felt like safety.
Yeah.
Felt like if we have all this in our cabinets, and I developed it from my own mother, because that's the kind of house I grew up in. We constantly had a fridge that had more in it than we needed. We constantly had pantry cabinets that had more in it than we needed. And like, I moved back to her house after narcissist number 4 is what I lovingly deemed him. And I cleaned. I was so like flabbergasted by the state of her pantry and cabinets. I threw away a container of herbs that expired before I was born.
Wow.
And I was like almost 30 when I moved back there. I was like, these expired before you gave birth to me. Like, we gotta clean out.
I found stuff like that at my mom and sister's house too. Yeah.
And that is, again, my superpower of looking at the whole metaphor, how it's all connected. I mean, that's like what we're doing with our own bodies and the stuff that we're holding on to. Like, we're holding on to shit that expired before we were born, that was our ancestors to carry, and it's not ours to carry now. We don't have to live in that state of excess, because we're not going to be in lack and limitation when we are in balance with Gaia, and trust that she's providing, and trust that the universe is providing, and actually work in co-creation instead of control and looking. It's like Pocahontas, the earth is not a dead thing for everybody to run around claiming. Like,
and if you look at how the ground, how it manages things, it doesn't keep stuff around. It doesn't. It has ways for composting and recycling it. So it doesn't leave stuff laying around on top of the ground. When you do that, you've effectively, imagine if things didn't get eaten by bugs or didn't rot away, and then go back into the ground and be used to turn it into a plant again. There would just be a disaster.
A purpose.
Yeah.
It all has a purpose that integrates into one another, and when we try to take that away and control it, it upsets the balance.
And the overall message of that, as I see it, is that there's always abundance. Abundance is always cycling, and it's flow, and there's abundance in flow. And when you hoard things, you're stopping flow. Nothing new can come in because nothing old is going out, and therefore you're just living in the same old stuff over and over and over. And that's not what nature does, and that's one of her messages for us as a people, as a species, a living thing on the planet.
Oh God, that's so beautiful. I love the way you said that. I need to go back and record you saying that. I just got a big old message from synchronicity as well that just drove by me. I love that when you hoard, you can't flow. There's no room for new.
Mm-hmm.
That's a message for me too. I've been hoarding feelings, hoarding emotion, and not letting it out. And that's like what we have to do with humans as well. Like, we're made predominantly of water, and we have our own flow internally as well. And as within, so without. What we do to ourselves is a reflection of what we do to Gaia, and vice versa. And if we're not flowing, she's not flowing either. And when we heal her waters, we heal our waters too.
Yes, we do.
And talk to me now that we're on water and flow. You brought up in the beginning, this is another thing I want to touch on as well, because it's something that's been very close to my heart with the structured water. And like hydration, and And one thing that really keeps coming through for me is the stuff that we're pumping our kids full of, these like energy drinks and sports drinks that we give them full of electrolytes, because you know they're depleting it all while they're out there running around, and it's all full of dyes and chemicals and sugar that they don't need, when really all you need to do is put a little salt in their water. Give them some structured water with some salt and some citrus in there, and beautiful. But you mentioned in the very beginning structured water and what we do to water to like cleanse it or purify it, and
It's
make
dead.
dead
We
water
make it
better.
deader. Yes, we make dead water deader. Yeah. So I've done about 22 years in the laboratory end of the wastewater and drinking water industry, and from what I've seen of how water is treated, they don't let it be alive. And the best way for water to be structured is to allow it to structure itself. So we can do it because it's not being done for us, but allowing water to structure itself is important. So water likes to meander, right? So when it meanders, it'll speed up as it goes around a bend, and then it will slow down and then speed up again as it does this. And as it does this, it vortexes inward, so away from the bank and towards the water, and it will vortex inward. So that's centripetal force, as it's something that rotates inward. Outward is centrifugal, if I have that the right way. So as it goes inward, and vortexes itself, it structures itself that way. When a river is allowed to be wild, you know, when the Rocky Mountain River, when it's flowing through all of the boulders and bouncing around, it gets aerated and allowed to come alive. And we don't drink our water that way anymore. But back to the vortex, because I digress. When you get to the inside of the vortex, at that point, it has stored energy. So the vortex stores energy in the center, and the stored energy allows the water to cool, and it will cool down to 4 degrees C, so Celsius, and that is the temperature at which pests die and beneficials thrive. So water, it cleanses itself with movement and with sound. So vibration is what cleanses water. And it also, when it's ready and healthy for us, when it has been mineralized by the ground, it will naturally bubble up as spring water. And the temperature that it is when it comes out of the ground is 4 degrees Celsius. That's the temperature it likes to be when it comes out of the ground. So water, I'll just drop some names here. So there's a man named Ralph Suddath, Suddath, who has taken the technologies of this other 1800s scientist named Victor Schauberger, and he applies them, but he can't do it in the United States because the United States has certain processes and tests that water has to pass. And his water doesn't need those processes because he is using sound and vibration and vortexing to create clean water. And
is that like the Kangen water that I've seen, where it's like a vibration plate that
the Kangen water, what it does, it separates it into, and I think Diamond could probably give you more explanation than me, but here's what I know. The plates, and with running an electrical current through the plates, it separates them into alkaline and acidic. So it isn't alkalized by adding minerals, it's alkalized by separating the water. You can add minerals to make it more alkaline, but you can create a certain alkalinity without adding any. And it also structures them so that it's small enough to get into your cell walls. So a lot of what we receive comes through a straight pipe, where the water, it becomes dead, it clumps together too much. Water likes to attach itself to itself, And when it's like that, it's too big of a piece for us to absorb the way we're supposed to.
Can we go conspiracy theory again?
If you want, I've probably heard it.
I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have. I'm not, but this is for people who haven't. Copper, which copper restructuring water naturally when you let
Right.
it sit in there long enough, and how copper piping was the norm until a certain time when all of a sudden all of our copper pipes got replaced with plastic pipes and metal pipes that are dumping heavy metals into our heavy metals and microplastics
Yeah.
into our water.
So the copper, the only thing I can say is, oh, and I was supposed to get you some research that I did. I did it. We could talk about it here.
Ooh, fun.
That copper, depending on the nature of the water, copper can be reduced or oxidized and make salts with the water as it passes through it, and then you end up ingesting them, and that could be a problem. But copper in and of itself, copper is a good thing to put like around the pipe. The energy of the copper would hold energy for the pipe. So I had
Okay.
a copper ring that I put around my I had an apparatus that I could vortex my own water, and it would send the water through these poles that would the two poles came together in a plus type of sign, and the water would vortex through that little canal, and it would structure it. But I had a copper sticker, I think, for that, for the bottle, which was good for the energy of the water. Copper is energetically self-cleansing. So that could be a conspiracy theory. Definitely, I think getting rid of the lead ones was a good idea.
Yeah.
And there was a cleaning, a thing for if you drink out of a copper vessel, there's a way to clean it with baking soda.
Okay.
So,
That's
yeah,
what you were looking
I
up for
need
me,
to send
right?
that on to you. I'm glad we had this conversation because I completely forgot that I did that work, and
I
then
forgot that I asked you.
I didn't tell you.
It's okay. I forgot that I asked you. We're bringing this up because I asked Amanda previously. I have a copper water bottle that I was using, and I ended up putting lime juice in the water, in the copper, and the acidity in the lime juice turned, like, the water tasted funky, and it actually turned green, and it oxidized the copper, right? So the
Green is reduced, oxidized is blue.
it's blue.
Yeah. So you reduced I guess you probably got a little bit off of the copper, but the copper, if it turned green, you reduced it. And you created a copper salt when you did that with the lime juice. I have all
Yeah.
the details for you. I will send it to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then, because I asked Amanda, I was like, can I still drink out of my copper water bottle? What do I need to do to it to make sure it's safe now? Did I jack up the structure of that copper water
If you
bottle?
can reduce it, you can oxidize it.
That's science, right? You can always being
Yep.
able to reverse.
Life is an oxidation reduction reaction, always.
Okay, explain that.
You know what a battery is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got metal in one state on one side and metal in another state on the other. One side is positive, one is negative, or more so one or the other. It wants to equilibrate. So it's going to pass electrons over to whatever side has fewer electrons until it has equal electrons on both sides. And that's the power, that's the current. And once electrons are equal, the battery's dead. Ones that you can recharge is because you can drive the electrons back over, but it takes energy to drive them back over, which is why you have to plug them into your outlet and receive an electrical stream that drives them back over. So the body acts in the same way. So we use the exchange of electrons to power systems in our bodies.
I am so many dots just connected. And that is why it's not just, we don't just talk about it anymore. Science has proven that we are electromagnetic
Oh yeah.
beings, that we emit a frequency, that we have an electromagnetic force field around each of us, and that's not necessarily your aura, but it is literally like the force.
Yeah.
Like when we talk about, what is it, Star Wars and mastering the force, like being able to master your force field and the electricity you're emitting, the frequency you're emitting. That is so beautiful. And we're like a battery.
Yep.
And when your batteries are low, you're putting out more than you're taking in to recharge yourself.
Yes, and we recharge ours with food.
And I love that this is where we are right now, because
I see where you're going with
it. We're back to the soil, baby. We're back to the soil. It all comes full circle. And what I said, the food is and my phone just went ding. The conversation that I had with Francis prior to this is focused so much on that healthy food source and what your body is then having to do when we are consuming toxic food or foods that are containing toxic ingredients, because they're growing in soil that have been treated with chemicals, that have been treated with Roundup, that have been treated with whatever else pesticide we're putting on it, with whatever has come out of the chemtrails in the sky and come down into the soil, whatever's in that water runoff from around, in that groundwater that's in the soil. And then that's going into your body, because you are what you eat. And then your organs are having to process all of the unnatural stuff that they were never made to have to process in the first place. And it's like the grief and fear and shame and all the stuff that we've been like pummeled with emotionally as well, that your body is then also having to process, which it was never built to have to process anyway. Like, it's just all tied together. And food for me has been, what's the word I want to use? Like the word like linchpin keeps coming out. And it is so related to what your family teaches you about a healthy relationship with food too, because it is like we discussed earlier with the hoarding and stuff, like you live what you learn. And what are you learning from your family as it relates to food? And then what are you teaching your children as it relates to the same thing? My 4-year-old, actually she's about to be 5, said to me recently, "Mommy, food brings people together."
It does.
And I have always, she is the wisest little, I'm so grateful for her every day. And I was always kind of like, enjoyed being the hostess with the mostest. I wanted everyone to come over so I could feed you, I could entertain you, and give you a warm, cozy place to exist and have an enjoyable night of community, and everybody like sharing laughs and stories and fun. And for me, so much of that got clouded with alcohol.
Yeah.
It has ended up being an environment where the food is not medicine anymore. It is a crutch, or an addiction. I come from a family where diabetes and obesity are way up there, along with substance abuse issues and addiction issues, which all end up being blocks in the heart chakra because you're not aligned in your true authentic self with source, and you're looking for something to fill that void. But food went from being ceremonial and medicinal to what's convenient and what's easy, and how do we grow it in mass without bugs being able to kill it, and how do we give it a long, stable shelf life so that we can keep it in the grocery stores longer for people to be able to buy it, or you can buy it in bulk and it'll last in your pantry longer.
Yeah.
And how do we make it as convenient as possible so people aren't going out and getting their own real produce and making some, I mean, it's called produce. You're supposed to produce something with it. Like, it comes to you so you can make a meal out of it. And people don't know how to cook anymore. And people don't know how to make healthy things for themselves anymore because we're getting all this ready-made stuff or all this, like, convenient stuff. And the snacks for the kids, like the lunch at the convenient stuff that we're going, because nobody wants to take time to make anything because everybody's so stressed out and doesn't have enough time in the day. And then we find out all the stuff that has been made for our convenience is the stuff that's literally poisoning us.
Yeah. It's like, let's get connected to the land again. Let's connect to her consciousness. Let's respect it. Let's respect and find her sacred and our food sacred, and engage in sacred ceremony with our food and with the land. And if you can fix the hearts of the people, then fixing the ground will be so easy.
When you said that, my phone went ding. And we fix hearts of people through releasing the emotion, through the energy healing, and through food as medicine. If that's what we're using to recharge our bodies, and our hearts are literally a portal, an energetic portal. And I actually would love to use that to segue into talking a little bit more about energy healing. And you made a comment. Yeah,
my computer is getting pretty low on juice.
Go for it.
And I'm not sure what I have. I will have chores in about 15 minutes. So let's see what
we'll give ourselves 15 minutes. And I have a feeling, Amanda,
we can
this
do
is going to be a series.
I'm going to plug in the computer. Everybody can just watch me navigate my art room.
I want to see your art room.
Well, here's the walls.
Beautiful.
There's my bookshelf. There's one of my messy projects.
I love that.
Here's my window. I've been painting a little bit today. I started work on that.
That's gorgeous.
I'm almost done with the watercolor portion of that. So there it is.
I love your art room. I will say I've been looking. I'm in this manifestation portal right now where I need to make a decision on what I'm more inclined to. I've been looking for this RV so I can be mobile and go to different areas. But I will tell you, your art room, your bookshelf, your beautiful window, like, there's so much of me that's like, I want a spot to settle in. Like, I want to be mobile, but I also very much want a little spot to just have to come back to and settle into.
I come in here and no cats are allowed.
They walk through everything, don't they?
I think they do. That's why I haven't been painting big projects for a while, is because the cats get on it. They walk on it with their dirty feet, or they scatter my watercolors everywhere.
They're just trying to add.
They are. Just like add a little bit of cat energy to everything.
Lee was telling me, which I knew this before, that that their purring and their kneading is healing. That they're literally like, when they purr on you and lay on certain areas and knead on you, that they're actually giving you like energetic healing exchange.
They purr to self-soothe too. So if they're distressed, they will purr to help themselves.
That makes sense why my anxious cat used to purr just constantly.
Yeah.
Her favorite spot to sit, she would climb behind my head and she would just like poke her head out over here on this side and like look through my hair, and I would just kind of wear her like a scarf.
Aww.
Okay, so I think this is a good segue. I would love to literally set up some more series and dig into some of this and get very like a little more specific with some of these things, because this is all
Okay.
information that, again, like, the more people know, the more we can share, the more they at least have the information to make informed decisions for themselves. Um, but I know you mentioned recently in a conversation, as far as like when you are working with soil with your hands, that
Mhm.
that is, it's grid work. Like, it is
Yeah.
healing work for the land as well. Talk to me a little bit about that and what kind of like energy you
Well,
get out of.
I I do what I call earth activations, although I don't, it's not really, you're not really activating the earth, even though that's what I've called like what I do. That's my email address, the Activated Earth. I've had a web page for the Activated Earth. I think I still do. I don't know. I have somebody who
Make sure you
handles
send
that.
me that so I can share it in the show
Okay, so
notes.
yeah, I can do that, though there's nothing happening there right now because I'm in a state of transition and how I would like to offer myself, but I think it's there. They could go and people could go and look at it. Um, but I do earth activations that it's intended to bring out the codes, the true codes of the earth, which are ease and grace, cooperation, collaboration, abundance, and sovereignty, and they go in that order as a human being and an ecosystem of your own. You go that way too. You start
So
out with ease
repeat
and
that for me again.
grace.
Okay. Ease and
It's
grace.
ease and grace for yourself, for your life. Once you find ease and grace, you can begin to engage in cooperation and collaboration with others. And after that, you begin to receive abundance because you are following the codes that the earth gives to us. And then sovereignty follows all of that. So these are things that I discovered just in connecting with the earth and doing activations. And I started to realize those were the things that were coming out every time. And not always in every area. Some areas held a preponderance of one thing and not the other. Um, and it activates the people, and you release it into the toroidal field of the earth, and it becomes available for everybody, shifts their environment a little bit, and then people can ascend if they want to. If that's what they're coded for, it gets easier for them because that's what they're living around. And that's what I discovered by sitting with the earth and activating it. And where I got this idea from is totally not really clear. The first time I did one, I was in the Wicklow Gap in Ireland, and I did it there. And from there, all things started to unfold. So,
When you say you did an earth activation, did you have a like? Obviously, it came to you very intuitively. You just kind of started doing it.
mhm.
What was entailed in that process?
I connected and began to feel into what was there and what was going on and what wanted to show itself to me. And I just let that out. And in it flowing through me, it became available more synergistically for the whole planet. That's that's just how I've seen it work. And I've done some activations since then where I have found interesting things. I have found portals that were connected to other places in the universe, or different types of mechanisms that used to be here that made energy and moving around easier here. So if you're into the idea of Lemuria and Atlantis,
Duh.
like ways for people to use those mechanisms to move around the planet. I found uh, weird gyroscope looking things stored in various places. If we want to go into like conspiracy theories again, and what is happening with the US government right now and its desire to
I sure
acquire
do.
acquire Greenland,
Uh-huh.
This news maybe is ready for the people that want to work with the energy of Greenland. So in the center of Greenland, under the ice, I found a thing that was the way that all the energy worked with the earth, where things were there were patterns. It's hard to describe it. It's like what the image of what people said angels really look like, which is all these gyroscopy things that move, and you can adjust it to go here or adjust it to go there. That's
The all-seeing eye.
it. Yeah, it's just really hard to describe it, but it has a way of moving to give you access to different places, and
Do you know
that's
what I'm
what I
picturing as you
saw.
describe this?
Was
I said, you know what I'm picturing as you describe this? Are you Harry? Have you watched Harry Potter at all?
Yes,
Is Hermione's time turner?
yeah, it is like that, only a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
that
did you?
that
Were you?
staircase they had that kept going different directions.
Uh-huh. Were you in Greenland when you did that, or is that something you did like in meditation from just
I did it
connecting
in
with the earth?
meditation. Yeah. So there are various, there are things that I have found, but the biggest message was what the earth has to offer is ease and grace, cooperation and collaboration, abundance and sovereignty, and that everything that we are shown is inside out, and it is the illusion, which is greed, hoarding, victimhood, and power over others. That's what we're taught is reality, but that is not reality. And the more we operate from the actual earth codes, the more systems that operate on the greed, hoarding, victimhood, and power over others will collapse.
I just had a bell ring when you said that.
That happens around
I
you a lot, I see.
I get lots of bell rings, and every time I hear it, it's that line from "It's a Wonderful Life." Every time a bell rings, an angel gets a
Gets
wing.
his rings.
Um, I I have so many questions I want to ask you. So many questions I want to ask you. This might be a really good segue into a follow-up episode on like energy portals activating, like earth activations that others can do in meditation, or like I have a desire to travel all these places with the portals, and literally, and I before earlier this fall, before I was getting ready to start this whole road trip thing that I've really been postponing, I met a guy who was in the MUFON network, which is, are you familiar with MUFON?
I'm not. Enlighten me.
The Mutual UFO Network,
Oh, okay.
started by Linda. Her last name just escaped me at a moment's notice, but basically, like my entire life, I have watched Ancient Aliens. I have watched the Discovery Channel. I have been like totally into all the portals and sightings and reports and all that fun stuff, and going, this stuff's real.
Yeah.
This stuff is real. And it's actually part of what called me crazy in my divorce, because I believed in it. My ex used to say to me all the time, when I would watch Ancient Aliens, I can't believe you watch this crap. And I'm like, you do know that everybody calls this guy crazy because it's like 90% accurate, right? But I met a guy from the Maryland MUFON Network, and he gave me his information, and he's like, go in on Facebook and join our group, and we'll like,
Cool.
you can track your travel, and we'll know where you are, and like give you reports and sightings. But I feel like this is part of the reason Sedona's been calling me big time too. My soul was like, we want you in the desert with the crystals and the portals. Please go to the desert with the crystals and the portals. Like, we need you there for a heart activation. I'm telling myself right now. Okay, it's 4:11 too. All right, I hear you. We're going to Sedona. We're getting a camper and we're going to Sedona. Is this what's
In
happening?
my era, 411 was the number for information.
Yeah.
Boy,
Mine
that was
too.
a long time ago.
no, I know 411. I'm in my 40s, so that's,
Close enough.
yeah. Um, so many things just came up. So many things just came up for me. I love that when we have these conversations, like it's also so activating
Yeah.
for everybody involved in them, not just listening to them too. But I know we're like right at an hour and a half now, and I know you have chores.
Yeah.
I've been
Chores.
sitting in this coffee shop since 12:30.
Well,
I've been here for almost 4 hours, having literally, like, when I talk about when Lee's like follow your highest joy, sitting here and having these conversations today, like this is
great.
I want to suck this stuff up because it also feels like, again, the universe going, okay, we're putting you in touch with people, like, again, we're giving you more opportunities to go down this path again. Are you going to be brave enough to take it this time, or are you going to keep circling the same pond you've been in? And man, it's time to take off with, yeah, see?
That's my
Universal
dog.
confirmation. Yep, I get dog barks.
He's being loud.
There's no siren. I get a dog barking going, go for it, go for it, go for it. But I find this so fascinating, and it ties so much into everything that I feel passionate about, working with food, working with healing our bodies, and knowing that our bodies are ultimately the determination in our connection to source, and they are our antenna, and whatever you're holding in your body or consuming with your body, whether it's food, whether it's the news, whether it's whatever sound, light, vibration you're consuming, it's not just, when we think of consumption, we think of what we're eating, but it's what you're watching, it's what you're listening to, it's what you're telling yourself, it's what you're thinking, it's what you're spending your time doing, it's what you're putting your energy into. And like you said before, when you're just constantly pummeling your energy back into the system of relying on someone else to the government to take care of everything, and not taking the responsibility into our own hands, that's where all your energy goes.
Yeah.
And
instead towards your own sovereignty. Yeah.
Yeah.
And freedom.
Yeah. And I've spent the last 6 months like not pouring my own energy into my own sovereignty and freedom. Yeah. Because I've been so I don't know how to put it, consumed in worry and fear about how it's all going to play out with my kids and stuff like that. And it's just that reminder of like, you got to get your own freedom and sovereignty first so that you can provide for them and show them how to do it. Yeah. And God, what a blessing this conversation has been. I would like to tell you, I took 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5, close to 5 pages of notes.
Wow.
And you had so much wonderful information, and I cannot wait I would love to follow up with you offline and talk about how we can kind of turn this into a little series, and some other stuff that you would really love to share that we can work on, and just ways to get this information out to people and co-create together, because it is all tied together. And Francis is a big part of that community key, and how we're taking it to the community is his biggest thing. Like, I've just been so amazed at what he's been doing in Kenya with taking this kind of stuff and getting it into the community. And it's just so beautiful, and it is what we need to do right now. And as these old systems start to fall apart, that's where in my personal awakening I got really lost in the beginning of thinking that like all the old systems were just going to fall apart and go away, and there was going to be this like magical new system. And then it's realizing like we're building the new systems, and that's part of our ascension. And as the old systems fall away, those of us that have built the new ones are the lighthouses and the guiding lights for those who are going, oh shit, what do we do now? What do we do now? And now I realize why right before my awakening I started buying books like Navy SEAL's Bug Out Guide and how to build your own like underground food storage bunker.
Yeah, that Bug Out Guide is on my list. is
I'm
it
like,
worth it? Did you like it?
yeah. I mean, I haven't finished reading it yet, but it is like the home apothecary stuff, the holistic
Yeah.
medicine, and this is where
Yeah.
I also went off the rails signing up for like every single course that I could to learn about all of this, and then didn't actually give myself the time to like complete them all. Um, so that is part of what I'm doing right now, is literally like making that list of everything that I
Right.
compiled and prioritizing to see where I want to step into sharing joy. But the podcasting is, I love these conversations. I love being able to bring it to people in this way. And the food, baby, the cooking and the entertaining is like, it's my jam.
Yep, I can tell.
It's my jam. And I missed being in community. It's so nice to have
It
community.
really
And
is.
we will plug Soul Purpose Tribe again in here, and I will share the information. Neil's good with us sharing access to the group, right? It's
I think so.
okay. I mean, he's doing videos sharing his link saying if you're interested, come
Yeah,
join.
he's been
So,
sharing it all over the place. So and he likes for us to help him grow the tribe. That I know.
yeah. So I will share the information for all the places that you can check out Soul Purpose Tribe down below, because it is this really beautiful, flourishing community of like-minded people who are zeroing in on their own purpose and how we can co-create and thrive together in community, because that's what we're meant for. We're not meant to do it all by ourselves. And um, I couldn't be more grateful for having found him, because I secretly followed him for a while before I actually was like,
I did
okay,
too.
I'm gonna join.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm
I
gonna
did
join.
too.
Um, and he's created the space for really everybody to have their kind of own autonomy too, and create their own events and create their own
Mhm.
collaborations. And it's not just like his community where he runs everything, and has really kind of also handed the reign. It's like a group reign where everybody's kind of bringing their own. I love how he says we all have our own unique puzzle piece, and we're all bringing it to the puzzle. And it's really beautiful. So we'll share that information in the show notes as well, and I will get your website info and share that. And we'll be back for some more episodes with beautiful fairy sister Amanda and her soil knowledge, because it's both sides of the coin. It's like
Mhm.
what out there is harming us, and then how do we fix it? How do we, I don't want to say right the wrongs, because as we talked about before, nothing is necessarily right, nothing is necessarily wrong. It all happened for a reason. How do we rebalance, I guess, is maybe the word that I am looking for. Detoxify
Mhm.
what has been done in a state of power, control, and cosmetic desire versus actual foundational safety and functional existence on this planet. Like, that's my thing. Ooh, it's 4:20 right now. Yeah, that's my, because she's
Nice.
my spirit plant, not just for opening consciousness, but also cannabis gets such a bad rap in
Yeah.
today's society. Number one, because they don't want us to know how much good can come from it. But
Right.
when we
There's a
talk
lot
about
of people already.
textiles, and I talked to just mention detoxing, how much we can detox the soil with cannabis plants, and then utilize hemp in the textiles. And there's so much we could talk about.
Yes,
So much more
I
we'll get
definitely
into.
have thoughts on that too. Yeah.
Yes. All right, well,
Yeah.
I'm going to put a circle around that for the next one. And
Okay.
also I'm going to put a note in here, because my cousin in Northern California, I told you, has done a lot with soil research, and he started with grubs and
Okay.
has started a farm in Northern California, and is doing a lot of work with like local co-ops in his communities, but did a lot of soil regeneration based on the bugs that they were using and grubs that they were using in the soil to detox it.
Okay.
Um,
I'd be interested in knowing about that. I haven't heard of that
yeah.
research.
And I don't know how much of it was research that he like dug into or just started doing intuitively himself, and got into it. But I'll reach out to him. thank you, Amanda, for today's
Thank
conversation.
you.
This was really beautiful, and I'm feel so like feel so vibey. I'm just like vibrating at a much higher frequency right now. These conversations feed my soul, and I feel like having an outlet for all of us to share our wisdom and our
Yeah.
knowledge and our experience, especially for the betterment of humanity, is why we're here.
And I'm
The Earth
super
Angels.
grateful for this, for an opportunity to share things that I know and to give me a chance to let my passions out there. Thank you
Yes,
for
thank
that.
you, because I'm
Yeah.
sucking it all up. I am so here for this. So here for all of it. Well, thank you, Miss Amanda.
You're
And we
welcome.
will, I am gonna close this out. You know what I didn't do is I usually like to open a container before we do this. I didn't light a candle. I didn't welcome in our ancestors of the highest love and light, but I know they were here. And
Sure.
so let's end with like a
Okay.
let's end with like a nice deep breath and and just a breath of gratitude to Gaia for the blessings that she gives us, and a pledge to the word that just came through for me was go all in. To
Mm.
go all in with our passions, to rebalance our energies and live in co-creation, not just with one another, but with our beautiful sentient earth that we live on, that is a living, thriving being herself, and not just a rock meant for us to consume and control. We thank her for her blessings, we thank her for her abundance, and we pray for the ease and bravery to take the steps forward into creating a thriving new earth where we respect one another and her in the way that we were originally designed to do.
And so it is.
Aho.
Aho. Mm.
Whew. Just got really warm and floaty. I love that.
Mm. The energy's all coming in the top of my head now.
Hmm. I love this.
Me too. Thank you so
That
much.
was beautiful. Thank you. All right.
All
Play
right.
a little music and get out of here and move on with our day. Now I get to go talk to people about psychedelic enhancement and treatment. Yay! I've had
Yay.
the best conversations today. And then I'm going, what's tonight? Tonight's Wednesday. Then I'm going to a jazz funk dance class.
Wow.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Jazz funk is tonight. I'm so excited. All right. Well, thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Gaia. Thank you for the inspiration behind me. And what what a good day. We'll be
Yeah.
back.
This is a good day. A good 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Let's go.
I will see you later.
Yes, you will.
Bye.
Let's get it. Let's go. Let's get it.